In this video, I'll show you how to replace duplicate values with blanks using an array formula in Microsoft Excel. I have a dataset consisting of two columns. The first column is the order numbers, and the second column are the order dates, sorted in ascending manner. The goal here is to create a formula that would return the first unique order date from column B. For example, in this list, we want our formula to return January 1st, which is the first unique instance, and then January 2nd, January 3rd, January 4th, 5th, and 6th. So we want a formula that will return these 6 values, and the values that are not highlighted, we want those to be returned as blank. Now, if you're new to my channel, I've already created another video on this topic in which I demonstrate how to do the exact same thing using a if and COUNTIF formula. That formula is currently displayed on the screen, and also if you haven't watched that video yet, the link to that video is available in the description box. Now today, I'm going to be using an array formula to accomplish the exact same thing. This formula is designed to handle the entire range as a block using modern dynamic array functions, which can be much more efficient in handling large data sets. And that array formula is currently displayed on the screen right here. Now I'm going to go ahead and apply that formula to column C. So in the first cell of column C, I'll write, for example, say unique order date. Now I'm going to insert the array formula in cell C2, as so. And as you can see, I didn't even need to drag down. So this formula was automatically applied to the entire range, and it gave us exactly what we wanted. That is, it returned the first unique instance of each value in column B. Note that it's also important that column B be sorted in ascending manner for us to get the values that we want in the order that we want them. So as you can see, this works exactly as intended and is correctly returning the first unique instance of each value. And it's returning a blank when we have duplicates in a contiguous block, such as this contiguous block. And the second contiguous block is January 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. And this is how it works. Now, in my previous video, I showed how to do this using if, COUNTIF, and that's also a good formula, and that's the traditional formula. And it's much easier to understand, and it's optimal for smaller data sets. However, that formula might become slower as the data set grows, because that formula would need to recalculate much more frequently for each row as you drag the formula down. This array formula, on the other hand, which I didn't even need to drag down, can be faster and much more efficient for larger data sets because it's processed in a single array operation rather than numerous individual calculations that we saw in the if COUNTIF formula. And this can really help reduce the computational load on Excel's engine. So now that we've applied the formula, I'm going to explain how it works, because as you can see, this array formula has much more arguments and it's a little bit more complex than the if COUNTIF formula, which I explained on my previous video on this topic. That said, if you're interested on learning how this formula works, stick around and I'll explain. So I'm going to divide this formula into 4 main parts. The first part is the starting of the formula, that is starting with BYROW and open parentheses B2 to B20. And this part of the formula basically goes through each row, in this case from cell B2 up until B20, one at a time. And it uses a special setup called LAMBDA to apply a custom check to each of these rows in column B. The second part of the formula is the LAMBDA section, that is LAMBDA open parentheses row, and then there's an if statement after the comma. And here, the LAMBDA function examines the content of each individual row and decides what to do with it based on the rules set in the if statement over here. The third part of the formula is the COUNTIF part, so the part I'm hovering over right now. And this part counts how many times a specific value appears up to the current row, starting from cell B2. And it's pretty much like counting how many times you've seen a specific number or a name in a list as you read down from the top to the bottom. And last but not least, The last part of the formula is the if COUNTIF argument in this section of the formula over here, which I'm currently hovering over. This final if statement acts like a gatekeeper, and it basically checks and keeps track of the count from the previous step. Now, if a value has already appeared before more than once, it doesn't show it again, and it leaves the cell blank, as you can see in these cells, for example, over here. However, if it's the first time the value is appearing, such as this January 2nd over here, which is the first occurrence, it lets it go through, so you see the value in the cell. And essentially, this setup helps ensure that each unique value in column B is shown only the first time it appears in the list, and that any repeats are hidden by leaving those cells blank, as you can clearly see. And that's how it works. I hope you found this video useful and educational and got some value out of it. If you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also, if you're new to my channel and you haven't subscribed already, make sure to subscribe and also turn on notifications so you won't miss out on my next videos. That's all for today. Bye now.